Hello, filming a video on my now UMX internals F4U Corsair. I put a Detroit Miss UMX board inside and two servos on the outside. I took away my mechanical rear steering to save some weight in the back to try to make it less tail heavy. And I've got it all working, but sadly I've had to add a good amount of nose weight because the stock motor is really heavy, and where I placed the board could be placed better in hindsight. So if you were going to do this, place the board as far as you can forward and still get the battery in there, and you might have to add so little nose weight or none, and it'll be even sweeter. But even with the extra weight, it's now about the stock weight of the stock Volantex. So I'm gonna be flying it on a 3 cell, so it's still very exciting. And the biggest thing is the gyro stability. AS3X keeps it so locked in at all points. It's very fun to fly. The modifications went pretty well, especially with the ball links I use. These are Turbo Timber X rods and links. Sadly, the only thing that didn't work too good was my rudder. I have very little throw on it. It's barely usable. It's almost not even there. It's kind of sad, but the AS3X stability makes it so much fun that I'd still say this one I prefer over the Volantex. In fact, let me know which one you think you would prefer, this version or the stock Volantex F4U. Let me know. Anyways, let's go ahead and take off and show you some touch and goes and landing, as well as some other basic maneuvers. There we go. Some interesting noises coming out of this plane now, huh? There we go. So takeoffs and landings are much easier. If you want to check out the throws, I've been talking about very little rudder, sadly, but it's there. So a little bit of wind, but we got AS3X, so let's enjoy it. Ah! Don't know what happened there. And make sure she's trimmed out. I haven't flown it too much on 3S. I was flying it more on 2S, but to make it a little more exciting for the video, took the 3S out. Look at how it loops now. I was trying to do a straight loop before and it was so bad. And then I'm gonna do again. And I'm really trying to exit the loop where I entered it. And this plane is just much better at doing that. So let's do a low pass. And even though it's the same weight, that AS3X is working hard to keep that plane stable. Almost stalled right there. I have a sensitive elevator. I might have too much throw. I could dial my elevator throws back a little. It just carves in the air way better now, if you can tell. Even with less rudder, it's still very effective. So this is with the wind today. The wind's going left to right today, as well as changing direction. So I want to do a touch and go. So I definitely have more elevator than I need, if you could tell. Don't stall it. Even with the UMX, you can still stall it. Look at that AS3X stability. Works so hard keeping it stable. So I have my flight timer set for 4 minutes because I don't want the parts to get too hot yet. I am testing out how long the battery lasts and stuff, but 4 minutes is pretty good for me. I have some rudder, if you could tell. Like, I still have some. I have enough to do basic turns, so can't complain too much. I actually upped the rates on my rudder a weird way, so even though I have little bit of rudder, when I barely touch the stick, I get all of the rudder I could get. And that makes it a lot less, not so bad. Because if you have that little amount of rudder and you have to hold the max rudder stick, that makes it pretty hard to use your rudder. So I hope you could tell, like, even with some wind, like, just look how steady that thing is. I know it's not maybe as sporadic as the stock Volantex, and it's super expensive doing this swap. But I'd say for a hardcore F4U fan like me, this is the best flying micro F4U out there now. At least that I've seen, because it has AS3X, and unless you have AS3X or a somewhat equivalent gyro, there's no comparison. It's just not possible. So coming in for a landing. You've never seen an F4U like that land so smoothly. You can even dance with the rudder and control it before you touch the ground. Just look at how far of a walk that was. Incredible. So you could hear the AS3X gyro magic. With the Detroit Mist board, I'm not sure if you can program things like safe, but there are boards where you can program things like safe. There are lighter boards out there, and there are better motor and prop combos out there, but this is what I had. Like, I had some of these parts, and this is also what was really simple for me to do. This conversion took about an hour or two, which sounds sweet, but costs, because of the board, each of these boards is about $60 minimum, unless you find one used. The conversion's about 100 bucks. If you have a crashed UMX, however, you might be able to figure something out. Kind of like how what I did here. I had the board from a crash plane, actually. So that's why I was able to do this. I'd say it worked out pretty good, even with the stock landing gear location. AS3X just works so good at keeping it locked in. This is a 2500 kV motor, Detroit Mist board, normal linear servos, they're not offset or anything. I had to add 15 whole grams to the nose. I really wish I mounted the board more up front, but you could see I mounted it relatively in the stock location actually, so I thought I'd be safe. But no, mount it more forward, make it work. You would have enough room. You have enough room to mount it from here all the way to here actually. And although I am crazy, this is a functional plane, and I'm not crazy enough to take apart good functional planes. So I think for now, this is gonna be it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe one day I'll sell this and make another one more the way I plan to, with straight aileron servos so it has more throw, and move this forward. But I think I'm gonna keep this like this. It flies pretty darn good. It flies realistically. I don't need it to fly crazy. I just need it to fly and land good. And now it does that. So anyways, let me show you how the stock one flies. Be right back. Alrighty, so here I have the non-UMX internals, just a stock F4U pretty much. I replaced the aileron servo with a Metal Gear one. Performs about the same as stock, but it's a little bit more reliable. So this is going to be manual flight. The only thing I've done is try to reduce the slop linkage mostly to hopefully make it fly a little bit better. And this will be in comparison to the UMX F4U. They actually made a really good plane that flies without a gyro after going back and forth, and I really like this plane. I just wish it had wind deflection in manual mode. It would be perfect if it had that. So let's show you how the stock one flies now, pretty much. Okay, ready for takeoff. This is manual flight with the normal electronics, slightly forward landing gear. One moment. Alrighty, so here's manual flight with pretty much stock everything compared to the UMX. Don't have steerable tail wheel on either of these. Check out the roll rate on that. Do a loop. Let's see how controlled I can make it. It's more aerobatic, I'd say, and like crazier flying. But the little twitches and constant corrections make me very sad. Let's see, it's pretty trimmed up right now. Let's see if I could do a touch and go. Kind of going fast, and I forgot which direction the wind was coming. Let's see the flags. It would have been good right there. Not that approach. So now an actual touch and go. Oof. A little bit harder to fly than the UMX one. So although it's more aerobatic, it's harder to fly. So I really enjoy UMX electronics. You can land them so much easier. Taking off with the wind. Flies nicely on 7.4 stock batteries I'm using. God, I did not have enough upstick right there. I almost nosed it in. Gotta get used to this one. really been enjoying the UMX version just because of how stable it is. So let me try to come in for a landing, because this one is not very relaxing. Even though I love the plane and how it looks, it's not a very easy flyer. What's that was scary. Okay. Coming in for a landing now. And I had to walk far again. Yep. Nothing like the UMX one. So that's just the comparison. So I'll end it right here. Don't want to keep having to walk so far. Thanks for watching.